rivals go head-to-head this weekend when the Pirates face the Cubs at Wrigley.
Swing and a miss. He stuck him out.
The pregame at 3 Eastern, first pitch at 4. Saturday on ESPN Radio and the new ESPN app.
Geico presents Strange Saving Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
ESPN Radio, bringing you directly to the biggest events in sports.
Center field, well hit, Hunter back, out of here!
From opening day of baseball,
Throw to the plate, safe at the plate!
right through the World Series.
For the third time in 5 seasons, the San Francisco Giants are the champions of the baseball world.
Whether it's LeBron, Chris Paul, or Kevin Durant, when the NBA tips off, ESPN Radio is right there when a champion is crowned.
We have a new world champion. The San Antonio Spurs are the world champions.
And when the magic of bowl season arrives, ESPN Radio is your home for the new college football playoff.
The college football playoff first national champion, the Ohio State Buckeyes.
The biggest events in sports can be found right here on ESPN Radio.
Well, transgender is a sin. Well, so's being judgmental. Whether it's a sin or not, it's here. Deal with it. Well, gays, it's a sin. Your neighbor's gay. What are you going to do, move? I mean, I knew a transgender. I don't know if it's interesting, but when I was in Las Vegas, there was a woman named Jonna Steele, and she was a smoke show. Jonna Steele was a performer. I don't know she was an elevated stripper. She was in shows called Crazy Girls. And Jonna Steele would occasionally come into the radio station I worked at to promote her show. Could not have been more courteous, tall, blonde, beautiful. She was born John Matheny. I had no idea. It was later when somebody said, Jonna is formerly a man. And I'm like, well, she's not now because I see what she's wearing on stage, and that's a woman. I can see. So, and to be honest with you, it didn't make in Vegas anybody uncomfortable. Maybe in Iowa it would, but in Vegas she was a performer and a great one. And I forgot all about it, but I was just thinking this morning, have I known a transgender? And I thought, yeah, I knew Jonna Steele. Could not have been more kind, completely accepted, tall, blonde. Look it up. Beautiful. Stunning. So, it's the world we live in. But whenever I get it's a sin. All right, a lot of things are. They still exist. Deal with it. And I don't know what a sin and what's not a sin. To be honest with you, I don't read the Bible. But I know this, on a day-to-day basis, there's transgenders among us. What are you going to do? You going to be a decent person? Going to have empathy and compassion? Or are you going to be judgmental? What are you going to be? What are you going to be? What happens if your son, your daughter's gay, transgender? What are you going to do? It's a sin. Okay? It's your daughter, it's your son. What are you going to do? Be grown up and handle it? Or cast them aside? See him jump off a bridge? Brian, you're in the herd on ESPN Radio. Brian, go ahead.
Hi, Colin. I have no problem at all with someone's sexuality, but what I have a problem with is middle-aged men saying that they are women now. Does that mean that they're allowed to go into women's bathrooms, compete in women's sports like some of them do?
Well, it's not a problem is it a problem in your life? Does it make your life worse? Do you love your wife less? I don't understand. You say it's a problem.
No, I don't have a problem with it at all, but why should a woman have to have a man come into the bathroom with her or compete in sports and take a scholarship away from a girl that deserves it?
Well, then there'd be a transgender who would deserve it. I don't think it's a big societal problem of a Baylor golf scholarship going to a transgender, apparently. I don't see this as I think that's kind of fear-mongering, like, oh, my God, this is going to mushroom into I don't think in this country anybody's going to lose a scholarship who is a great athlete. If you get a scholarship at a Division I school, you're a great athlete. You deserve it. I don't think your daughter, my daughter, your son, my son's going to lose it to somebody, and I don't think it's all fear is exaggerated, Brian, to begin with, but I don't think these are big societal issues. And by the way, you wouldn't know, Brian, if you're in a bathroom right now as a guy and a gay man walks in. How do you know? That's going to happen to you in the next week. How do you know, and why do you care? I mean, if you're in a bathroom and a guy, somebody in there's gay, so are they going to leap for you? I mean, some of you guys are like cavemen. You do realize that much like you as a heterosexual man, you're not attracted to everybody. You know, it's just guys just create these, like, fear-based, what does it mean? Can I go to the bathroom? Just go have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and a big glass of vitamin D milk. You're okay. Do I have to hold your hand if you get a headache? Take an Advil. You're creating all these massive, it's a sin. How is this? How is that? Figure it out. We've been living with transgenders for 100 years and society's been fine. Now, after a Bruce Jenner interview, the world's off its axis? I got news. I'd argue a transgender man's smallest concern is what bathroom he's going to use in public. They probably try to make a point not to. So I don't think the Bruce Jenner interview did anything but enlighten all of us to the struggle they're dealing with. It was not glib. Jenner was emotional, and it was difficult, and his family was struggling, and they were compassionate. This was not something, I don't think Bruce Jenner was trying to promote anything. In fact, the way the interview, it sounded like he was going to kind of go in hiding, come out, and kind of a rebirth of a personality, come out a woman and kind of hide. That's the way it made it sound, as far as I can tell. Let me play another one of these bites from the interview with Diane Sawyer. By the way, the one I'll use is 14217. It should be noted during the interview, Jenner admits he's a conservative, Republican, Christian male. All those labels don't always work out.
God's looking down, making little Bruce. He's looking down and he says, okay, what are we going to do with this one? I think I'm a smart kid, very determined. And he gave me all these wonderful qualities. And then at the end, when he's just finishing, he goes, wait a second. We got to give him something. Everybody has stuff in their life that they have to deal with. You know, what are we going to give him? And God looks down and chuckles a little bit and goes, you know, hey, let's give him the soul of a female. And let's see how he deals with that.
Jerry, you're in the herd on ESPN Radio. Jerry, go ahead.
Hey, Colin, how you doing?
Good.
Hey, this is all a tolerance and acceptance thing. You know, Renee Richards does this in the, late 60s, early 70s. It's a sex change. All of a sudden, she's trying to compete. He is trying to compete in a female sport professionally. And then we give Bruce Jenner, who has been a nobody since 1985 until the Kardashian show, a platform to promote Bruce Jenner. And even in the interview, he refers to himself in third person many times. This is a promotion. That's all it is. The man has no more.
Well, let's say it was. Let's say it was. So NFL promotes itself. Christians promote themselves. Conservatives do. What if it was? So.
But why give him the platform?
Well, why give hate mongers on the right a platform? Why give zany people on the left a platform? You watch it. Some people don't think I should have. Some people think I shouldn't have a platform. Why does it worry you? Why does it bother you? How does it hurt your life?
It's just why? Why do we give these people the platform?
Why not? If it creates, they exist in our society, Jerry. They exist. So why not have a guy come out and promote compassion and empathy? Explain it, Jerry, instead of having violence. It's not hurting you. It's not hurting me. Why wouldn't you want? Bruce Jenner did more for that community than anybody in the history of that community. I mean, I was completely confused going in, and afterward I felt compassion. Well, it doesn't hurt. You guys are all, well, what if it's self-promotion? What if it was? What? What?
If it was completely genuine. If it was completely genuine,
it was.
then I agree with you.
Okay, I thought it was, Jerry. Maybe you don't, but we're going to disagree on the color of the sky today. Some people like heat. Some people like cold. Some people ice fish. I like it at 64. You know, I mean, but the idea, I hear fear from men. This gets very fear-based fear. What if, what? There's transgenders that work with you today. How are you handling it? 20 years ago, I don't want to work with gays. You were, meathead. I've got a third of this company could be gay. Who cares? Michael Sam's not the first gay NFL player. I got news for you. When I covered the Buccaneers, I was absolutely sure 2 players were gay. But none of my business. But I was absolutely sure of it. So what?
Colin Cowherd.
The Thundering Herd Podcast.
You know, we're talking about this fight so much. Folks, the draft is Thursday. The draft. We all love the draft. The draft is Thursday. It's Friday. It's Saturday. It's Sunday. And I you know, a lot of things I'm tired of in sports. You can have the home run derby. You can have the Pro Bowl. You know, a lot of things I'm over with. I'm kind of over the Olympics. But I'll tell you what I'm not over, the NFL draft. So let's start with this. Tim Hasselbeck, you played in the NFL. You know the quarterback position. There's about 6 guys that may get drafted. Who is the best prospect right now to you?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. And by the way, coming strong with a gingham once again.
Yeah!
I mean, like, you wear gingham, what, days that end in Y? Or like when you're alone or with people, you wear gingham. I mean, you're back to your LeBron decision shirt again. Unbelievable. We need a wardrobe consultant.
We
for
certainly
you.
do.
Listen, best prospect because of what you saw him do at college and what he's able to do in terms of throwing the football as a passer. It's Winston. And I think sometimes we try to make it, 1-2 because maybe they go between Winston and Mariota. They go 1-2. But there's a big difference between the 2 players. There just is.
Yeah, there is.
And so, look, Winston's not a perfect prospect, but he definitely has a lot of traits and characteristics that you would want to get out of your starting quarterback, a guy that could maybe play that position, be a cornerstone for your franchise for a decade. Look, and people have beaten him up, and compared him to Leftwich and called him fat and all this different stuff.
He's kind of lumpy. He's got a weird shape.
That's fair, but in terms of him not looking like Brett Hundley, but at the same time, like there's a lot of really good starting quarterbacks that have a similar build, Colin. I mean, It's not. Let me tell you something. My brother's going on year 18. Like, he wouldn't go bare-chested on the cover of his book like you did. Okay, I'm just.
No, a lot of guys.
Listen, but he can play the position, and so I think people have to remember that, and also remember that here's a guy that goes to Florida State, becomes a starting quarterback right away, wins a Heisman Trophy and a national championship, and then, oh by the way, goes and starts on a baseball team that's a top 10 program. Newsflash, there's a lot of good baseball players in the state of Florida.
And he was a great one.
To go do that early on, before you're 21 years old at Florida State, there's not a lot of guys like that walk on this planet.
It's funny, too. I want Brett Hundley from UCLA to succeed, but I look at him and I watched him. I don't think he's an NFL quarterback. I said this about Matt Barkley. I love Matt Barkley. Mm-hmm. But when Chip Kelly drafted him, I said on the air, I'm like, he's not an NFL quarterback. He can be backup, but you can't build your franchise. I look at Bryce Petty, though, and I kind of think you could. The Baylor kid.
Yeah.
What do you see?
Well, I think that's fair. To touch on Hundley quickly, he's a great athlete that has been put at quarterback. He's one of these guys that just he's supremely talented from a skill set. He's got a smooth release, can hose the football. You watch him take off and run. The scramble he has against Virginia Tech is insane. He's running away from corners and safeties, and for a guy his size, that's rare. So people think, just like, the Arizona Cardinals think, well, hey, Logan Thomas, I can make him a passer. People are going to think, hey, I can make Hundley a passer. I think there's a lot of work that would have to go into that. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve a chance, but that's why he's not being talked about with the other guys. In terms of Petty, I think you're right. There's a lot to like about him. And you talk to people that have been around him. They love the leadership, the toughness. They just think that people are drawn to him. People are buying into the guy, just like they are with Mariota on Bryce Petty.
The difference is Bryce can come in and watch for a year because of his draft position.
Fair.
Marcus is going to have to play like now.
I agree. And when you look at Petty can also hose it. I think the other aspect, his hand swallows the football, and he can just rip it all over the field. But he also has touch. He also has the ability to change the speed of the ball, anticipate, and play that way. He's not a great athlete, though. He doesn't move great.
But
and
not
I think
all these guys
No, that's
are.
fair. But what I'm saying
Is he as good as Alex Smith?
No, he's not as good of an athlete.
Teddy Bridgewater.
You got to ask me about somebody else. I mean, in terms of where my stance has been on Bridgewater, I guess
You like him.
what I would say about look, Petty, doesn't move any worse than Eli Manning. Okay, but I guess what I would say to you is that he doesn't come across sometimes as athletic playing the position as you would like. Which is, by the way, to your point. Yeah, but I think to your point, which is why he's could possibly go in the third round. I think more likely the second, but the third round. And then at that point, you're right. If it is the Saints, and he's in the third round, he's not playing right away. Who cares? And he gets to learn from some good coaches.
Now let's get to something you said when you came in here today that you're going to have to say I'm right on something, and this is like pulling wisdom teeth.
It was pretty brutal, and I've acknowledged to you before and on air that I will go places, and because of my wife's line of work, I will end up in non-sports arenas with people. So the other day, it was like I got punched twice by you, okay? So one, I'm in New York City in a completely unsports-related event, and I introduced myself to somebody. It's like, I know who you are because I listened to you on Colin Cowherd.
Was this the president?
So that it wasn't the president, but you know how much that hurt to me? Like, I've always been like son of Don, brother of Matt, husband of Elizabeth. Now the dude only knew me because I was on your show. It stung. It stung. And the other thing is, this hurts even more. I was gifted for my birthday. Lululemon's making men's pants now. Yeah. I was gifted some Lululemon pants. I've completely been converted. I mean, I'm not ready to jump on your gingham yet, but the Lululemon pants, I'm co-signing on the men's Lululemon pants.
I've told you this before.
Listen, I'm telling you, it stings. It hurts. Well, I'm big enough to come on here. Like, I'm hoping you're big enough to one day say, I totally blew it on Kaepernick.
Yeah.
I'm
pretty close on that.
All right. So I'm big enough to come up here and say, listen, I apologize. You were right about Lululemon's men's pants.
It's funny. There's a story out about the Jets looking to trade up in the draft, and it's funny because it would be easy to bang on them, but the Ravens have done it twice. Bowler, they whiffed. Flacco, they didn't. We got a minute left. I got to tell you, I hate trading up. But Eli, Flacco, Cutler, that's how those teams got them.
Sorry.
But I said it's like being an angel investor. 80% of the time it's wasted.
Whether you're taking them there or not, I think the point is if you feel like you have to move to that spot to get that guy, and you think that he's good enough to be drafted at that point, then go do it. Because if you get it right, you're right.
For 10 years.
If you get it wrong, you're wrong. But no matter where you take him there and you're wrong, it doesn't matter. Look, this is the example. If you don't have a quarterback, it's the 2008 draft, Colin. You want Long, the tackle out of Michigan, or you want Matt Ryan? What do you want? You want the quarterback. If you get it right on the quarterback, then you keep your job as a general manager and a coach.
Yeah, right. Good seeing you, man.
By the way, are you combing your hair to the side now?
I'm doing a little different. You know what? I am a little bit. My wife likes it when I comb it to the side.
Yeah.
She does it, and you got to make.
You got to keep her happy at home.
Yeah, because I do my hair.
Which is why you go to the gym. I was listening to you the other day. You go to the gym because you feel like you have an attractive wife.
I have an attractive wife. Yeah. And when you have an attractive wife, I don't work out for me. I hate working out. I like jogging. I hate lifting weights.
You could have fooled me, by the way, on the weights.
What are you saying?
Your book. You said that it's really you.
It is me.
It is?
Hey.
All right.
Hey, you ever been to Alaska? Seen these pipelines? Pow. That was...
Check out The Herd with Colin Cowherd weekdays from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPNradio.com, and on ESPNU. The Thundering Herd Podcast. Two of baseball's best go head-to-head in interleague action when the Tigers head to St. Louis to face the Cardinals. That one is gone. The pregame at 7 Eastern, first pitch at 8, Sunday on ESPN and ESPN Radio.